That Don't Sound Right is a podcast about talking the way we did before the internet, when you could not prove anyone right or wrong.
All the expertise was contained in the people involved with the conversation. I'm Peter.
I'm Cecil, and I hope you enjoy our conversations. And as you listen, if you find yourself silently saying, that don't sound right, send us a comment. You're one of us.
Have you ever seen
cheese?
Yeah,
I thought of
like
a Pixar cheese hanging from the ceiling bats.
Like the what is it?
Kind of icicles.
Stalactites?
Yeah, stalactites.
Yeah.
That's
Or,
made of cheese.
now I don't know. Stalactites and the.
Welcome back to another episode of That Don't Sound Right, a podcast about talking. We're your co-hosts. I'm Peter Bielman.
And I'm Cecil Davis.
And we're just trying to have a conversation without Googling it or fact-checking it. Those things can easily kill the conversation. But it's simple. We're just talking.
That's right.
And what's it like when we kill a conversation?
I had an example. So David, who listens to us, pretty routinely said that he got in a discussion the other day about the origin of kick the bucket.
Okay.
And instead of looking it up, they discussed it.
Just discuss.
They just discussed
Kick
it.
the bucket.
Kick the bucket.
That's perfect.
I don't know what it means. I don't know where the origin is.
We're going to be diving deep into the caves of Missouri. To help us with this conversation, we'd like to welcome some very special guests to the Camel City Studios. We got Emily Bielman.
Hey.
And Ella Davis.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
We also have our barista here today.
Hello.
Our barista has snuck in. And I see that you have prepared some beverages for our guests.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
Thank you. She's also wearing the hat, but that don't sound right hat.
The newly.
Oh, so I do want to mention one thing before we really get into the cheese caves of Missouri, which I know absolutely nothing about, but I'm assuming that you and Emily know something about it, and you'll educate Ellen and I
Cheese
on
caves
this.
don't run in the Davis family. Is
Well,
what you're saying.
we
We've
don't-
heard of such things, and we went poking around and asking people, and
Splunking.
it's very odd. It's something you might say that don't sound right when
I
we
can't
explain
wait.
it to you.
The best ones we do are when you surprise me with something. But so just so y'all know, we took all of our money from all the T-shirts and merchandise that y'all have bought,
Dozens of dollars.
dozens of dollars.
You scraped it together.
Put it all in a pile, and we have given it to the Ardmore Raw and bought a sponsorship this year. So we are sponsoring the Ardmore Raw, which will be Saturday, October 21st this year.
What is the Ardmore Raw?
So the Raw is the Run Against Hunger, which our church sponsors, and it goes to the food bank here in Winston-Salem. So we're hoping to do a few episodes on this. But if you go to their website, you will see our logo as one of the sponsors. So we're really excited.
And where's Ardmore?
Where is Ardmore? Ardmore is in our fair city of Winston-Salem.
Right, it's the neighborhood in which the church is, and that's where
Yeah.
the neighborhood, the race is
Historic.
actually run. So there's a fun run,
Yeah.
and there's a 5K,
Yes.
and there's a 10K,
And there's a food drive.
and there's a big part of it is the food drive.
And there is a vendor fair, and that's where we'll have our booth set up. The That Don't Sound Right booth.
Come pay attention. Come pay us a visit.
So yeah. So anyways, October 21st, we are officially sponsoring this year. So Cheese Caves, Missouri. I know nothing. I am ready to be educated.
So I didn't know anything about it either. So I was in a group project this past year.
In college?
In college, yeah.
Okay.
And I forget how it came up, but someone mentioned, oh yeah, the cheese caves. I was like, cheese caves? She was like, yeah, the cheese caves in Missouri. And I had no idea what she was talking about.
Did you say that don't sound right?
I did not, but that's what I was thinking. But so I did look it up because that don't sound right. And so basically it's in Missouri, it's a bunch of underground, basically like storage rooms that store cheese. So, and it's a way for the government to boost the dairy industry. So like they buy the surplus of cheese and they store it in these underground caves. They're, you know, when you think of cheese caves, you think of like I don't know. I think of have you ever
of
seen?
cheese?
Yeah,
I thought of
and,
like a Pixar like cheese like hanging from the ceiling like bats.
like the what is it?
Kind of
called?
Stalactites?
Yeah, stalactites.
Yeah.
That's
Or
made of cheese.
now I don't know. Stalactites and the other one. I don't know which one.
Stalagmites.
Stalagmites. One grows from the
Stalactites.
ceiling and one goes from the bottom.
well,
I
they
don't know
could
which
both
is
be
which.
in there with cheese.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is just a big underground storage room filled with government cheese.
Yes.
I like that the government got involved.
So what do you do? What does the government do with cheese?
Where did the government get time for this?
I've got a lot of questions now.
Well, so the issue is that there was way too much dairy, and the price of dairy was sinking. And so, in order to help dairy farmers, the government bought up all this milk, this excess milk, and they turned it into cheese. And this is not the cheese that you're thinking of, or maybe it is, but it's American cheese. Okay, it's not cheddar.
Right.
It's not Gouda.
Right.
You know, it's not Haverty.
Right.
It's American cheese, and it's
Right.
these gooey blocks of American cheese. And so they would buy this, and then they would turn around and they would use this as a supplement, a food supplement, to give to people that are below the poverty level, or that people that need financial assistance,
Right.
or on food stamps, or whatever system there that was going on at the time. So you probably heard of the term government cheese.
I have.
It's a real thing.
But why is it in a cave?
Because the caves underground are year-round at the correct temperature, about 50 degrees, 50 to 55 degrees. It doesn't matter if it's snowing up top or baking up top. It's still 55 degrees underneath. And they've cut there's these vast limestone caverns that they cut.
Just for the cheese?
This sounds like they're hiding something more down there than cheese.
Well, so they're being used for cheese now, but not as nearly as much as they used to. And a lot of private companies have bought these caves, and then now are using them for other things. So this is an excellent place to put a server farm, because it's nice and cool down there. It's also a great place to put excess automobiles. So I think it's the Ford Motor Company. They have their F-150 plant there in Springfield, Missouri, right? They built all these extra 150s, and they need a place to put them. Put them underground where it's out of the elements. It's a controlled environment.
But these things were originally dug for cheese?
Cheese, to store the cheese.
Who made the cheese? Hired people or government workers?
Probably both. Well, I mean,
Can you imagine being pulled out of your office one day? Just have to make cheese.
I don't think they drafted people to make cheese.
That's what it sounds like.
they probably hired like cheese makers to make the cheese.
Or are you just thinking there were a lot of government employees sitting around with churns just churning cheese out?
They were like, oh,
Wait,
your
is
turn.
that cheese or butter?
I didn't say churn. He said churn.
I said churn.
You churn.
That would have been better.
Are you thinking butter?
Yeah, I was thinking butter.
So I'm not aware of any government butter caves.
They're still hiding those.
Those are below the cheese.
Yeah, those have to be deeper
it's a
down
different
to keep
level.
them.
To give you the scale of these caves, right? The scale of these, you can drive an 18-wheeler down into these caves and go
How long?
a mile.
Really?
You can go
A mile?
A mile.
That's
In
a
these
lot
caves?
of cheese.
That's a lot of cheese.
And then there's all these loading bays. And you can, I mean, it's big enough where you can pull it in and then back it into the loading bay, load up your cheese, unload it, and then get out of there. And it is vast. You can go on YouTube and
There's
look.
something else down there.
Well, now I've got to
There
look.
probably is
There's
something,
something more
There's
else
something
than cheese.
I'm sure there's something more now.
I've got to go look at that now.
You should. You should go at least YouTube truck drivers GoProing their drive into
A cheese cave.
the caves.
And pulling cheese.
So Kraft right now uses these to store their cheese.
Really?
Yeah.
I love Kraft.
I wonder how much it costs to like store in a cheese cave.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't think as much.
So
You just got
If you guys get enough merch money,
you got to pay for electricity. You probably don't have to climate control that.
have a
much.
studio. The server farm is interesting because those generate a lot of heat.
Yeah.
I can't imagine they don't have to have some like extra cooling.
I imagine they have to have cooling down there, but
that's that.
the load isn't as great because you're down there underneath the ground.
I can't imagine. They just park a bunch of F-150s under there too.
Park them.
And it's all in Missouri?
Underneath Missouri.
Underneath Missouri.
You can't
That's the thing.
visit them?
Driving around, you wouldn't know where they are.
But it has an intrigue to it.
I bet you it is now. There's something going on there that we don't know. So some fun stories though is every once in a while I'll be talking to somebody. Where are you from? Oh, I'm from Missouri. You're from Missouri? And I asked them about the cheese caves. I've yet to find someone who could tell me about them.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
they're
weird.
not well
That's
known.
weird.
As you would say, Ella, something is afoot.
That's
I
not
wonder
what
if,
I would
like,
say.
they-
That's weird.
I wonder if they've like turned some of them into like survival shelters. I wonder if you can buy some
like
of them now,
bunkers?
like bunkers.
You can buy a bed. in the
Maybe. I mean,
bunker.
these things are just the cave just goes on and on and on and on and on. I mean, one thing I'm not sure of, it doesn't look like it. If how much of this was excavated and how much was this natural?
How
Well,
far?
I was about to ask, is it man, like, do you know if it's man-made or just, like, natural?
Parts of it have to be man-made because where they put walls and
Yeah.
things, where they not, where they, and it's even paved in there, and you know, it's nice and flat for the vehicles to travel on. But it would seem that some of this was cut, but some of this was natural.
Have you ever been in anything like that in a truck?
In a cave,
Yeah.
in a truck.
No, like, have you ever been like, so I had to set up a display one time. And I
Okay.
had to drive under a convention center.
Okay.
And these are big enough for like 18
Sounds like a
wheelers to
parking
wander.
garage.
Okay.
You ever been like in a really big convention center? Mm-hmm. And so one thing is you get down in there, especially when the 18 wheelers are under there's a lot of exhaust. Mm-hmm. So I wonder how they vent those caves.
They must have some kind of venting system. They must.
They have to. Yeah, because just when I was in there, I just drove my pickup in there with the 18 wheelers, and it was
Yeah.
pretty heavy duty.
I bet you it was pretty
Yeah.
smelly.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that.
What,
All
the 18 wheelers going in there?
Yeah, like the ventilation and stuff.
I'm thinking if there was like a
get
nuclear
smoked cheese.
war,
Ooh,
diesel smoked American cheese. I think if you had, like, if there was a nuclear war and you got trapped in a cheese cave, you'd be all right.
I wouldn't.
Why?
I wouldn't
be
eat
a
it.
lot of cheese.
I wouldn't eat that cheese.
Well, I think
If that was the only thing you had to eat, you wouldn't eat it?
I don't know.
I don't get the impression it's that. Well, it's got to be pretty deep in there, but I feel that the Russians know about these,
The cheese caves?
and they're
You guys are exposing them directly to the
and they're-
Russians right now.
and they're targeted.
They're targeted. The
They're
cheese caves.
targeted.
Well, maybe the cheese itself would protect you.
Yeah, if it's American cheese.
So there's still
Nuclear
government
proof.
cheese today, and
Just less of it?
there's less
It's
of it.
selling for high prices.
But
because of your podcast.
you can still apply to get it.
Apply?
You can still ask for government cheese.
Oh, you
Yeah.
can ask for it.
So, like, if you're on food stamps, I believe, or like elderly on Social Security, you
Just
can.
not eating.
So,
Anybody
Dad,
can
you
ask
could
for
get
it.
it.
Well, I'm not elderly, so to speak, yet.
You're almost there.
Yeah, I'm closer. But so just not anybody can ask for American for government cheese.
What I could find, no.
Huh.
I think.
Were you trying to get some?
Well, my grandmother would qualify to get some government cheese, so we were gonna ask her to apply for government
Fill
cheese.
out the paperwork. Let's try it. Let's get
See
some
if you get
government
it.
cheese.
Yeah.
You could get your parents to apply for their cheese.
The,
Just be in state.
I don't know. I would never.
Oh no, this is a
Nationwide,
nationwide.
yeah.
program.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah.
Federal cheese.
I mean, if it was just Missouri people got federal
No,
cheese.
no.
Well, you've taught me something.
Hey, it's still some things that just don't sound right about it, though. What do
Yeah.
you say?
Well, Ella, before we went on, said that we should recognize them as the backbone of our podcast,
In what way?
since they do our artwork and
Yes.
our Instagram site.
And I don't think that we've ever
I
been
didn't realize.
recognized.
And, well, we
Well,
definitely.
Emily gets to recognize. But we
Okay,
have
I don't think I've
failed.
ever been
I don't
recognized.
I didn't realize you did our Instagram.
And I
work.
work overtime. Oh, see, you don't even know I do it.
I didn't know you did
And I
it.
work overtime.
I thought
for
he
this.
did it.
No,
Why
I
do you
don't
think it's so
that's
good?
The we have failed to recognize you as the Instagram curator. So everything you've seen on Instagram has been curated by Ella. She set up the account.
Excellent. All right. Well, I'm glad. I'm glad to know that.
We'll add you to the cascade of characters.
Well, you're on staff.
I expect my name to be closer to the top.
Welcome to be on staff.
You need to send them an invoice
I will. Well, I've asked Emily for us both to be paid.
I will.
If you do your artwork, I said you need to be paid. So
Well, I will say
I'm
that
working on
people, when they hear y'all's episodes, will say, "Why don't you and Peter stop doing the podcast and have y'all do it?"
and I agree.
I've had that multiple times.
Really?
They said
They're
that
not the favorites.
the favorite is Scott.
Yeah,
Whoa,
sure. We want more of him.
Yeah, no, like Uncle Bronny's favorite is Scott.
Don't say that. Uncle Brian, I'm calling
Yeah.
you.
Y'all have anything to report from being your freshman year of college?
No,
Nothing.
nothing.
You don't have anything that doesn't sound right from an entire year at
I
college?
do have a story that doesn't sound right, but I don't know. Do you have time to hear it?
Sure.
Well,
I think we're finished with the cheese.
one night I woke up at like 2 a.m. and needed to go to the bathroom. So, I walked down to my community bathroom down the hall, and the door was shut. So I was like, okay. People sometimes respectfully shut the door. So I was like, that's fine. So I opened the door, the light's off. It's normally what you do when you shut a door. So I turned the light on, and I look over at the stall, and there's these huge man feet on the ground. And I was like, that's weird that he's just sitting in a stall in the dark at 2 a.m.
Wait, is this a co-ed?
No, this is a woman's floor.
All right, so that adds a little twist.
Yeah.
Man feet, 2 a.m., dark night.
Yeah, but also it's dark in a stall, door shut.
That's
Yeah.
scary.
So I proceeded to turn the lights off, shut the door back, and then sprint to my room. And then when I told my parents, as I do, my mom was like, "Did you call the police?" I was like, "Do you think I called the police if I'm telling you the story and it just ended?" But
next time.
next time I'll call the police. But I was really scared.
You didn't report anything?
No, I was really scared.
That don't sound right.
Well, I was so scared. My heart was beating so fast.
I'm sure you were scared.
I was laying in my bed. I was like, I don't know what else to do except for hide behind my little
doubt
door.
You were scared, and
I was really scared. I ran really fast down the hall. That was a fast run.
Do you have a that don't sound right story from your freshman year?
I will say, so I was on the second floor in my dorm, so I'd use the stairwell, and routinely there would be debris at the bottom of the stairwell from people dropping things, I don't know from what floor, and it would end up, there were so many,
Was this
around
co-ed dorm?
Halloween. Yes, it was.
Okay,
well,
it's guys.
Explain how tall is this dorm?
So this dorm is has 12 floors.
Oh, wow.
Okay, yeah, that's how mine was.
And so when you look up, it's pretty tall.
So there's a perfect gap between the railings
Yeah.
of the fire the stairwell.
Uh-huh.
So if you're standing up on the 12th floor, you can look straight down through all the railing and see all the way to the ground floor.
Mine wasn't like that because they didn't trust us.
So what kind of debris would you find?
Drinks, it's like soft drinks with the lids and everything splattered. On Halloween, there was 2 pumpkins that were dropped and left.
I mean, part of it's a challenge because you have to drop that. You have a very narrow
Perfectly.
window.
And if it bounces on the rail,
it's done. It's done.
So I bet there's debris on a lot of floors.
Yeah, so I don't know what floor I can't imagine it would be the 12th floor because there's no
Someone
way it
definitely
would make
tried
it
the
down.
12th
Oh, yeah.
floor.
If it was the 12th floor, you win.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So tonight we're enjoying some Virginia Diner peanuts sent to us by Dave, Old Bay seasoning. The official.
Same Dave with the hats.
Yeah, Dave sends the hats
Same
and
Dave
the Old
with
Bay peanuts.
Hey, Dave.
So, well, we're glad you're back and joined us on That Don't Sound Right tonight. Anything to wrap up?
We're
before
back
we
from
do
our
words of wisdom?
government-sponsored trips to college.
So, Words of Wisdoms comes tonight from Clay, and this is his Words of
Which
Wisdom.
Clay?
My cousin Clay. I have 2.
Cousin Clay.
This is
Yeah, that's
Cousin
why I
Brian.
said which Clay.
Pay attention around boat ramps and parking lots. Those are not playgrounds. People will get hurt, and they won't mean to, and they will be sorry they got you hurt, but you'll still be hurt. That comes from his dad, my Uncle George.
So those particular words came in an email that was associated with our alligator and squirrel episode, the wildlife episode.
Yeah.
And I just can't help wonder if the reason you want to be careful around boat ramps is that it's a very nice and easy way for an alligator to run up out of the water, grab you, pull you back in, put you in the death roll.
Maybe
That's the end of that.
And a squirrel's watching.
now that we've started talking about alligators, I get alligator stuff on my feed all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think I'll
I
find
can't wait
this
to see how much cheese you get on your
Cheese stories. It don't sound right, but you have come to the end of another That Don't Sound Right.
Hey, before we close, we want to thank everyone for listening. If this is your first time and enjoying the conversation, would you consider hitting the subscribe button? It's the check marks on Apple Podcasts. Also, would you consider giving us a rating or review?
I'm going to, before I completely wrap us up tonight, talk about our new advertiser. So we have a new advertiser. Same we talked about last night. Wonderfully Made Designs. It's a small business that's specializing in custom-made design T-shirts and decals. Contact Casey at Facebook at Wonderfully Made Designs 139.14.
The numbers are important. There's other wonderfully made designs on Facebook.
Yes,
Make sure you get the numbers. What are those numbers again?
Casey on Facebook at Wonderfully Made Designs 139.14.
We do have the links on our website.
Yes. Use your code TDSR10 for 10% off if you're a TDSR listener.
Can you believe we have a coupon code?
Wow.
That's pretty big.
That's pretty big.
The big podcasts I listen to, well, you guys are big podcast listeners.
Wait a
I
minute.
don't listen to, but big podcasts say that, so.
What, give people discounts?
No, they say like their name, they'll be like, blah, 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 10 for 10% off on your next purchase.
Well, you get a 10% off on your purchase. And she can take a design and put it on a T-shirt for you.
And it's not too late to order for 4th of July. If you want the perfect 4th of July gift, please visit our merchandise website.
Yep, either our merchandise or Casey's merchandise, either one. All right, so That Don't Sound Right is a production of TDSR Podcast in conjunction with Camel City Studios. I'm your co-host and sound engineer, Cecil. Peter's your other host and your web designer. Our barista that you heard at the top of the show is Camille. Emily is our graphic designer. Ella is our Instagram curator. Giorgio tests our merchandise. And we had some new merchandise for him to test this week. Thanks to Dave. Thanks for sending the hats. Brent is our brand ambassador. And as always, listener number one is Scott. You didn't say Scott.
Sorry, Scott.
So until next week, keep talking.
And stay curious.